Welcome back to the Shiels Golf Show podcast episode. Did I even say that right? Welcome back to the Shiels Golf Show episode 313.
You would think by now you'd have that absolutely nailed.
And in my head, it was nailed.
Yeah.
When it came out my mouth, it wasn't nailed.
Yeah.
Hi, Guy.
Hello, Rick.
I've actually literally come running through the door today. I've bust down the door. I said, we are going to come and make a podcast right now. We have not spoke all morning. How are you? Did you have a nice weekend?
I just said to Gabe off camera, who is producing the podcast, I had a very nice weekend, a very relaxing weekend.
Nice.
With a mixture of sports, Rick. So there was swimming on Friday with my little girl. It wasn't really swimming, it was more just jumping in. But there was swimming on Friday. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this can relate. Toddlers are hard work.
Toddlers are hard work.
So we'd got in the pool. She still was a swimming nappy. She's nearly 3. That's fair.
Yeah.
She said, Daddy, I need a wee. When we just got in the pool, right?
Perfect.
I'm on my
Great
own with
timing.
her. So I said, look, if you want to, do it in your swimming nappy. It's just a wee, right?
Okay.
Then she said, I need to do a poo-poo. I've done a poo-poo. I was like, oh, no. So I got out of the pool, went to change room. She's obviously all cold and it's all wet. And obviously, get to the toilet, take a swim nappy off. There's no poo in there. She just made it up. So I had to get back into the pool, all wet. And it's just one of those things, it doesn't sound a big deal at the time. You're freezing, it's wet. Trying to get a swimming outfit back on when it was wet. Anyway, that was Friday. I then went to the driving range. I need your advice on something massively, Rick. You need to help me with the decision I need to make.
I thought you were going to turn around and say to your daughter, Daddy's also done a poo.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Go on, sorry, you went to
driving range. And last night I watched some of the golf, watched Marco Penge go on to victory once again for this year.
He's a baller.
He's so good. I love him. We need to chat in depth about Marco Penge today. And also last night I watched the darts, Luke Humphreys versus Luke Littler. Did you watch any of it?
I did actually.
I did not know until, hold my hands up, the format for the World Grand Prix, I think it's called.
Hit doubles first.
How incredible was that?
I didn't love it.
Oh, I
don't
did
know
love
why.
it.
I didn't love it. One question I do have on this, and yes, you have tuned into a golf podcast, but we talk about other sports, all right? Deal with it. What I don't quite understand is how is Luke Humphrey still number one?
I can tell you this because I looked into it. So it's quite good. They do it off money earned over a 2-year period. And that's always rolling. So a bit like the handicap system now.
At some point, it's going to shift
so
pretty quickly.
If he has a couple of events, doesn't do very well, and Luke, which he probably won't because he's so good, but then Luke Littler does well, I think now he's about £70,000 behind him. The caveat to that is, the money in darts, although it's come on massively and it'll keep improving, it's still nowhere near that of like golf. Because yesterday, I think Luke Littler won 120 grand.
Okay.
Luke Humphreys came second at 60 grand. You put that up against the DP World Tour event or PJ Tour
10?
event. Yeah, it's not a lot. Obviously, there's sponsors and stuff like that. But yeah, at some point, I would envision in the very, very near future, Luke Littler will become the world number one.
Well, it was a dominating performance.
So good.
It was good. I must admit, I would like to go to the darts.
Yeah.
It looked like good fun. I love the chant at the end because obviously they didn't want it to end. It was like, we don't want to go to work, and like they just want to carry on, don't they? It's like,
can you imagine if you went and someone says, "Have you seen Rick Shiels?" You know what? He's in the corner being sick. Really? What's happened? He's had 12 pints of Guinness Zero. It's gone dizzy.
It's just too much.
It's gone hyper in round.
It's just far too much for him. It's either that or Red Bulls. It's action-packed weekend. I weirdly didn't watch a lot of golf, but I was kind of following it on my phone, and Marco Peng just seems to be dominating at the moment. And,
he really is.
He is a cool kid.
Yes.
Very, very cool kid. And I say kid, he's 28 years old, or 27 years old.
Kid to you.
Kid to me. You know what he's done really well? He had a little bit of controversy a couple of years ago. He actually got banned. Last year, and last year, he got banned for kind of having a few casual flutters on the golf, which he got a slapping on the wrist and told he can't do that. And the golf he's displayed this year has been nothing short of extraordinary. And he now will be going on to the PGA Tour, right?
You're right. A couple of things on that. I read up on this last night, actually. Apparently, he was betting on golf, that to be fair, he wasn't playing in the event, and he was always betting on people to win as well. So although it was maybe a bit foolish, it wasn't really anything that deserved him to get a real, black mark next to his name. But this year, he's now won 3 times on the DP World Tour. He's second race to Dubai, only behind, obviously, Rory McIlroy. He's won €2.6 million. Bearing in mind, last year was his best year to date with 300,000. So he's almost 10x that. But he reminds me in some regard, I don't know why, and you might tell me I'm talking nonsense, a bit like a Minwoo Lee kind of vibe. He absolutely smashes the golf ball. He looks the part. He seems to have an all-round game. It was an amazing playoff against Dan Brown, who was injured. I think it was at the 13th hole. He had some injury. He had to have actually someone come out on the golf course. I don't know if you saw this and treat him. He was laid down getting like a massage.
Oh my God.
And I think he had like 3 or 4 birdies after that, which was incredible. And that 18th hole was a perfect final hole. Dan Brown birdied it and Marco parred it, then leading to the playoff. But what was crazy, I watched it with my dad yesterday. He came around watching some of it. If you had Dan Brown and Marco Penge stood next to each other, which you had, and you said which one of those hits it the furthest, most people would put the money on Dan Brown. Dan Brown is not short. His ball speed with his drive was like 174. Marco's was 194. It's incredible.
I mean, it's ridiculous speed.
Incredible.
It's ridiculous speed. Was it just one playoff hole?
It was one playoff hole. Marco put it up near the green, a chip and a putt, and won it. He now, from winning that, gets to the Masters. The winner of the Spanish Open gets to the Masters, but he's also now 32nd in the world. So as long as he finishes that to the year end anyway, I think he's getting all the majors, top 50. Amazing. He's now going to get a PJ Tour card. Apparently he's moving in January to the States because there was rumours that he was going to live. Don't know if you heard any of these rumours. There's rumours that he was going to be joining live. Apparently he's kind of somewhat put those to bed yesterday and said, no, I'm moving to the PJ Tour in January. And his goal is to have a solid year, do well in the playoffs, then come back and kind of play in these similar events next year on the DP World Tour. But the bigger question is, as amazing as it is for Marco, is it a loss for the DP World Tour that every year 10 of their best players are leaving?
1,000,000%. Like, it's at 1,000,000%. Like, every single year, their top 10 just flutter off to the PGA Tour. And it must be, like, gut-wrenching. I mean, I tell you what, if you're a player that's not in that top 10, though, you think, thank goodness. Go get out here. Let me go and earn some money next year, because it must be really tough. I like Marco a lot. He's with a ex-lady professional called Sophie Lamb. They've got a kid and another kid on the way. They're actually, I know she's from Clitheroe, Lancashire, because she used to play at Clitheroe Golf Club, where we used to do a lot of filming, and Marco actually practices a lot at Clitheroe Golf Club as well. I don't know if that's where they kind of call home, but I know that he's got some history with the northwest of England as well. Yeah, I think it's mega. It'll be really interesting to see what he does next year. It'll be interesting to see if that decision is final or whether it was a little chess move to say, I'm not going to move to live, and see what happens if there's any offers that come in strong. Certainly the Majestics are looking for an incredibly talented, probably English player to replace Henrik Stenson. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's on their radars.
Well, what's crazy is, I mean, you look at his game and looking at his stats now. On the DP World Tour this year, his driving distance is 5th. His greens in reg is 6th. His putt per green is 8th. So he's got an all-round game. Stroke average is 4th. You'd imagine with that kind of distance, he's going to have, if he does go onto the PGA Tour, he'll do very well. He's got the game that suits to that. But, you know, what is interesting as well, and I know there's a lot more to golf than money alone, of course there is. But you look at the money Marco has made this year on the DP World Tour, and obviously, if he goes on to play well on the PGA Tour, that will massively increase. But you look at the purses on live. If he is the kind of person, which isn't a bad thing, if he says, look, you know, I want to earn as much money as I possibly can in a shorter time frame and join live and have a great couple of years on live, or however long he's on live for, he will probably make more money. There's no debate to that, I don't think, is there? Who knows? He's said he's going to be on PGA Tour, but like you said, I think Tom McKibben said similar things. Adrian Moronk said similar things. You know, John Rahm kind of said similar things, and people do change their mind.
We're switching lanes here a little bit. Okay. We're going for someone who's very much on the rise of their career, on a pathway to destiny, major tournament, multi-millions. On the flip side, I want to talk about someone who has done it, been there, got the T-shirt. In fact, got 15 of the T-shirts.
15 of the T-shirts.
The main man, Tiger. Tiger, yesterday or a couple of days ago, announced he's going in for some more surgery. Yeah. Do you know what? The picture that was shared online, it's not looking like Tiger Woods anymore,
I don't think I've seen the picture, actually. I saw the announcement. Oh, wow, yeah.
Now, this might have been taken at a different time, but God, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard watching a legend of the game just kind of, I don't know, get older. struggle, have health issues. He's going in, so this is what he said as a statement. After experiencing pain and lack of mobility in my back, I've consulted with doctors and surgeons to have tests taken. The scans determined I have a collapsed disc in L4-5, disc fragments, and a compromised spinal canal. I mean, that's a lot, innit?
I don't understand it, but it sounds painful.
I opted to have my disc replaced yesterday, and I already know that I've made a good decision for my health and my back. I mean, is this it? Is this it? Is this? Are we genuinely? I know we've brought this up a few times in the podcast before. Is this the end of Tiger Woods playing professional golf?
This is a strange one to answer because, in my opinion, part of me wishes that he'd retired at St Andrews in 2022. It would have been the perfect fitting, for him to retire. He's always said how it's his favourite golf course and, how historic the old course is. However, it's how we look at this. You can't be that guy that rules out Tiger Woods, because if I do, this will get clipped in 3 years' time when he wins another major or something and I'll look stupid. Yeah. However, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was, I think now realistically I would bet against him ever winning again, and maybe he'd never competing again, which pains me to say. However, the caveat to that is, do I think Tiger Woods will ever win again? I don't, deep down. He can't do. But does he want to retire now when he's not obviously competitive and not playing? Or will he get to a point, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, where he can at least play golf and battle through 2 or 4 rounds, maybe at an old course where it's flatter or something? And, he can play in the Masters till whenever he wants to, because he's obviously won the green jacket. Is there a future he just plays almost like a ceremonial role where he is playing, a bit like Fred Couples or Bernard Langer that have done so well and still competitive? Can he ever get to that level where he is maybe mid-50s, he's never going to win it, but he can make a cut? Or does he want to retire on a high? Because even saying that, has the high almost gone? Does it feel sad for him to retire like this now? How does he retire? When does he retire? Does he retire?
He's 50 at the end of this year.
Yeah.
He's 50 years old at the end of this year. I was looking online, and I don't know if this is facts, but I must admit I can't remember when he's played since that. The last time he played in an event was the 2024 Open Championship at Royal Troon, when he missed the cut. That was the last time. Someone might correct me on that, but that's apparently when he last played a golf tournament. He's obviously investing loads of time now in his children, which he's obviously he's a dad, he has to. Obviously Charlie's doing incredible with his golf. It's really, really interesting. As you said, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say he's not going to come back, but it's looking less likely, isn't it? It really is. Yeah,
and I think realistically, as silly as it sounds, we're kind of all somewhat selfish for wanting Tiger to play again, because if the guy is in pain, he can't. Tiger was always the golfer who, if he was playing to win, and that was evident when he first became a professional. And he said those statements about if he thinks he can win every event he plays in, because why would he turn up if he didn't think he could win? I think now it's pretty evident with the emergence of talent we've got on the every tour, DP World Tour with Marco Penge, Live Golf with obviously the amazing players over there, the PJ Tour. Is he ever going to be able to genuinely go to a major championship and compete and win? I think the answer has, as I said before, has to be no. Is he going to be able to go to these events and make a cut? That's more likely, obviously, but still very unlikely. If he's 50 years old with all his injuries, no matter what he's done in the past, your body does catch up with you. And what opens my eyes now, probably more so than ever, is that the guys who are doing well in the majors, not only are they playing 4 rounds of competitive golf to an elite standard, they've got the practice rounds before that, they've got all the training that comes with that, physical training, the warming up, the weight routines, etc. Surely he can't put his body through that much more.
Are we going to look back at this and feel like he didn't fulfill his potential? Like, is this going to be almost quite a sad ending or outcome? Because, he's won 15 tournaments, 15 majors, 83 tournaments. He didn't surpass Jack Nicklaus's record, which he was so desperate to do. Like, is he going to look back at it and go, I didn't quite fulfill my potential there?
in one sense, when you say that statement or ask that question, part of me thinks that's ludicrous and part of me kind of agrees, because very simply, open up Wikipedia, I've got it in front of me now. You look at Tiger Woods' major record and you look from 1997 till the late 2000s, 2007, 8, etc. The amount of green, which is obviously a first place, is unbelievable. And clearly, when we look from like 1999 from the PGA Championship through to the Masters in 2021, it was ridiculous. He won the PGA Championship in 1999, then he came 5th in the Masters, then he went win, 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 win in all the majors, and obviously had the famous Tiger Slam. You look at that spell in the early 2000s, if you look at that in isolation and somebody says, did this guy fulfill their potential? You say, of course he did. What an absolute dominant streak. We'll probably never ever see anything close to it again. But then you look at from 2008 to 2019 when he won the Masters, there was no major wins in that 10-year span, and lots of missed cuts and some top 10 finishes, etc. That almost seems hard to comprehend, and you think, well, could he have won more in that time? He absolutely could have done. Could he have beat Jack Nicklaus's record? He could have done. But it's almost feels like two careers. There's a career that's absolutely dominant where he couldn't have done any more, and then there is a 10 years or so where you think he could have won more. So I don't know. It's a hard question to answer.
You're definitely between 97 and 2008. You can't argue. He won more than he won so much. It was ridiculous. But like you say, that 11-year span then between 2008 and 2019 when he didn't win, and he had all of the drama, all of the time out of the game, and all these other things, all these shenanigans off the golf course that was happening. Yeah, sorry, I got the number wrong before as well. He's won 82 official PGA Tour events, tied with Sam Snead, also on 82. Again, he should have smashed that record.
You know what, though? If we ever are going to have this debate, it feels like a horrible debate to have, because I don't want to come to the conclusion that he hasn't fulfilled his potential, because it feels crazy to even say that. But the other thing I think that really, really cuts him from a different cloth and does put him genuinely in that conversation of the GOAT is the fact that he went on to win that 2019 Masters, because that was at the age of 43. I think Nicklaus's oldest major was when he was 46, so not too dissimilar. But you look at that and you think, if you take that away from if he hadn't have won that event, there would have been a drought then from 2008 to the modern day with no major victory. Having that major in there, kind of against the odds after periods of injury at the age of 43 to win a Masters, I will never ever forget that. And I think that really, really, even the younger generation that might not have resonated with Tiger Woods, that opened their eyes. So I would hate to say that he hasn't fulfilled his potential.
But on the other conversation, you could argue, did Jack Nicklaus not even fulfill his potential? I know it sounds ridiculous. He won 18 tournaments. The amount of times he came second was staggering, absolutely staggering. So, almost, could Jack Nicklaus have got to 25? Could Tiger have got to 30? There is no such thing as a perfect career. No athlete has ever had a perfect career.
I was thinking this yesterday, weirdly. Maybe I was preempting this in the podcast, but as a huge Tiger Woods fan, I hate to say what I'm about to say now, and I've said this before on podcasts and had caused some debate. There's no debate as to who's the greatest of all time, in my opinion. It has to be Jack Nicklaus, because if we talk about a football match, if Liverpool play Man United and Liverpool win 1-0, who's won the match? Liverpool. Well, why have they won? Because they scored one more goal and they didn't let any goals in. That's quite simple. Who won the darts last night? Well, Luke Littler won. That's the answer. Yes, there's all this stuff of different times, and it's very hard. It's not quite as black and white as that. I get that. But if you're looking back at the careers now, and I think we can almost argue Tiger's career in majors is probably over. It's got as horrible as that is to say out loud. He's won 15. Jack's won 18. How does that debate continue, really?
You can't. It's the 4 majors. They both played in the 4 majors. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as if there was more or less majors to play in. It's imagine in 2008, when Tiger won his 14th major. It was almost a given he was going to overtake Jack Nicklaus. Wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
It was almost a given that just give it a few more years and that record. And
he would have been about 32 at the time.
it wasn't about how many. It wasn't about if he's going to beat Jack. It was about how many is he going to get past Jack by, and he didn't. He didn't. I was just looking at this as well, by the way. Jack Nicklaus, 18 major wins, 19 second places.
Crazy.
How wild is that? 19 second places. Wow. But anyway.
Will there ever be a golfer that does fulfill the potential?
I don't know.
Because golf, in its very definition, you can't ever fulfill your potential. Example, I know at the Marriott Worsley Park, I can birdie every hole. I can. There's no hole I can't birdie.
You do struggle on 7 a little bit.
But
I don't like you saying that.
I can birdie every hole. I know that I can par every hole. And it's like, well, how often do I go and shoot level par over 18 holes? Very rarely, done it a handful of times in my whole life. I've shot under par twice in my life. So my potential, in theory, should be much better than where I am. Now, that's just me in isolation. But we know that, let's be honest now. I'll list a handful of names. Scotty, Rory, Tommy, Xander Schauffele, the list goes on. They can all win events. They can all win majors. But Tommy's not yet won a major. That's not reaching his potential, is it? Because he should have won a major by now. But then we're looking at Rory. He's not won enough majors. Scotty Scheffler's doing very well, but unless he wins another big handful, has he reached his potential? So how does a golfer ever maximise? It's different because, suppose, in a sport like football, really the focus is on, for the team, winning the league, let's just say. That was the absolute goal. And how you get to that point, you might not win every match, but does it really matter at the end of the season if you've won the Premier League, if you won every match or not? They obviously prefer to, but if they don't, they still won that end goal. But golf, it just feels like there's so many events to win throughout a year, unless you win every single one you ever play in. I don't know. It's quite a confusing concept, isn't it? Because I feel ridiculous to say that Tiger Woods hasn't fulfilled his potential, but has he?
On a flip statement, then, what? And I'm using the example here. Okay, has Danny Willett absolutely fulfilled his potential?
Well, that's another.
Because did he ever presume he was going to win the Masters? No, but he's won the Masters. So could you almost argue has he maximised his potential?
Well, everyone has different ceilings, don't they?
Yeah.
So if you were let's just say you were a junior golfer who was kind of flirting with the county team and you were in and out of it and you weren't even the top best 6 players of your age in your county team, but then you managed to continue to improve little by little, get onto the DP World Tour and make a career where you never win an event, you make the odd, you do make cuts, you might get the odd top 10, and you've made a career off being a professional golfer, and the players who you were playing with as a junior have since gone on to do other jobs and quit golf. You might have absolutely squeezed every last drop out of your potential, but you've never even won an event. Whereas Tiger had the potential winning 3 junior amateurs and 3 US amateurs back to back, so 6 amateur events in a row of the highest pedigree. I don't know. I don't know the answer. Maybe we'll have to do a poll, ask people in the comments.
My gut feeling is he didn't fulfill his potential. That's my gut feeling. But then, like you said, there's not many that do. I think it's one of the hardest sports to fulfill your potential.
Well, there's 150 guys or whatever in most events who are wanting to win.
Yeah, who all can win. But that's what I'm saying. Is it more on a Ben Curtis or a Todd Hamilton or a Danny Willett? Sorry, I don't mean to say Danny Willett as he couldn't win majors. Of course he could, but could he look back at his career and go, "I won a major"? Like he's done something that Colin Montgomery couldn't do, Lee Westwood couldn't do, Luke Donald never did. He's done what Tommy Fleetwood has not done yet.
But all right, then answer this question. I don't know if you can. Maybe you'll come back with Danny Willett. But genuinely, how many golfers, if they were to retire today, God forbid, or when they do retire, would look back at their career and say, I'm absolutely happy with that? And I'll use a very simple example again. Anyone who plays golf knows no matter what golf score you shoot, whether it's your best ever or whatever, you go out and you go, oh, but I could have birdied 3. No. I missed that 3-footer. And you could go, wait a minute, Rick, you did, but you're holding 80-footer. You chipped in off the green. It was 80 foot long. You're not thinking about that one.
Do you remember when your ball hit the tree and came back in bounds?
Exactly. And the example I'll use here, kind of friend of the channel, amazing legend of the game, like Justin Rose, has had such an incredible career. But will he be happy with, I say only, but only one major championship when he retires? Probably not, because he's an amazing athlete and he's got such potential and he can win more, and he's proven that this year. He's so good. So I don't know. It's very hard. I'm sure there's some weird stat out there where you could almost work it out, where you could look at someone's career and what they should have won. A bit like expected goals in football, expected majors. Who's over-delivered then? Who has won multiple majors who has over-delivered?
Who has won multiple majors, over-delivered?
And I don't even know how you answer that, how that is determined. Or even there's lots of guys who've won a major who you could argue I would never have had them down to major winner.
Like someone like JJ Spawn, that even this year, like, even after he won, was it the US Open that he won? It was like, I didn't expect to be the guy that's winning the major. And to him, that's almost, he's playing with free money now, with house money, because he's achieved probably what he exactly wanted to achieve. I would say the guys who really, really, really didn't reach the potential, I'd probably put Sergio Garcia in that list. Potentially Ricky Fowler in that list.
Do you think Tommy has to win a major or multiple majors to avoid being in that list in the future?
Yeah, I do. And even you look at Anthony Kim. I mean, he had literally the world at his feet. Crazy. Anyway.
Food for thought. Go on, sorry.
Sorry, very quick one. And I'd love to know if you saw this, because I heard about it for a group chat. Did you hear about, was it Nick? Let me get his name up yesterday. Who shot? Did you see his final round score? One second. It's on PJ Tour.
Was it the 60?
Yeah, at the Bay Current Classic. I don't know if you had this down on your notes. There was a lad yesterday. Was it Nick McCarty? I can't find his name now. And he shot a final round. Matt McCarty. He shot a final round 60 with a bogey on the last.
It's ridiculous, that, isn't it?
He had to par the last to shoot a 59. And this is how it went. Shot number one, he basically hit it into the water. Had to take a penalty drop. Then hit a 304-yard shot down the fairway, and he got up and down from 108 yards for a bogey. I mean, his back nine is just unreal. He played it the wrong way around, actually, but so he played the back nine first. He was 4 under through the first 9. Then he went 8 birdies in a row.
Crazy. And
bogeyed the last for a 60. But it also shows how many times do we ask this question? How is golf consistent? His first round, 75.
Yeah, and
his second round, 65. His third round, 74. His final round, 60. He's playing the same golf course 4 days in a row, and his worst score compared to his best score is 15 shots different.
Madness.
It's absolutely crazy.
You know what? And I think we've said this before, haven't we, about golf? It's like we don't give ourselves enough credit. Imagine if there was like a golf doctor on the first tee, right? And they look at you and say, "What's your handicap?" "Oh, I'm off 10. Okay, let me have a look at your swing. Okay, be honest now. You could go out today and you could shoot 79 or 95, and that's within a happy, healthy range. Because that's really for a 10 handicapper. That's what else doesn't get spoke about enough, and I don't know why. I do know why I'm so surprised, but. In that event as well, if you look at the leaderboard, tied 14th was Nikolai Højgaard and Rasmus Højgaard. It's weird. How are the two twins, who it sounds obvious, twins often look very similar, have the same DNA. It's not that unusual that they might be into similar things or whatever. But to both be so good at golf, at almost the exact same level, one was in this year's Ryder Cup, one was in the previous Ryder Cup. They're shooting the same scores.
Well, they shot the same final score, but again, you look at their... Nikolai shot 68, 70, 72, 64. Rasmus shot 72, 68, 68, 66. So albeit the final score, they both took for 4 rounds. They shot 274 shots each for 4 rounds. They did it totally different ways. And actually, weirdly enough, they actually matched that guy, Matt McCarty's score of also 10 under. That's wild.
It is wild.
How does that even happen? By the way, the guy who won, Xander Schauffele, shot 19 under.
Good golf.
I mean, it's good, isn't it?
It is good golf.
71, 63, 67, 64.
Can I read an email to you, Rick?
I'd love you to.
Speaking of these amazing golfers, this kind of ties in very nicely. I had a nice email from a guy called John Sanders, who I believe is in the USA. He says, hi, guys. I love the podcast. In fact, I just finished the latest episode where you interviewed Rachel Drummond, and it was easily my most favourite episode ever.
We've had a lot of very nice comments about that episode.
We have. It was a great episode, if I say so myself. Well, it was down to Rachel. She was amazing. He says, her story is so inspiring and her personality is so fun. It's just infectious. I went on to watch my interviews on the Live Golf app and I'm really impressed. Thank you, John. She's very good at what she does. Yeah. Anyway, I'm curious if golfers in the UK have heard of the Fred Haskins Award. It is a US award given annually to the best collegiate golfer in the country. Past winners include Phil, Tiger, Ben Crenshaw and a host of wonderful players. So I had to kind of Google this because it rang a bell, but I didn't quite know if I'd definitely heard of it.
What's it called again?
The Fred Haskins Award. I definitely had heard of it. If you'd said to me what's it called, my gun to my head, I wouldn't have known, but I had heard this award. Anyway, he then goes on to say, Fred Haskins is my great-granddad. He passed away in 1983, so memories of him are very few. The story passed down to me is that his family, prior to moving to America, opened a golf club making shop near Hoylake and their family's apartment was on the top floor. I think a few golfers in the US know of him, and I'm curious if many UK golfers, particularly you two, have heard of him. I'd be dead chuffed, did I say that right, brackets? Yes, you have, to hear my great-granddad's name on your podcast. So, first of all, John Sanders, thanks for your email. You will hear your granddad's name, Fred Haskins, on the podcast. Because I did a little bit of research on this. So again, I had kind of heard of it loosely, but we did a bit of Googling and Wikipedia, etc. And the Haskins Award, it's presented annually by the Haskins Commission to honour the most outstanding collegiate golfer in the USA. And it's named after Fred Haskins. So some of the winners, recent winners, have been Ludwig Aberg, Chris Gotterup, Sahith Theegala, Matt Wolf, and then we go a bit older into some of the serious names you'll know. Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, Russell Henley, Hunter Mayhen, Graham McDowell. Then we go to Luke Donald, Tiger, Stuart Sink, Justin Leonard, Phil Mickelson won it 3 times in a row. Some unbelievable names. So what was quite interesting about this is, so Fred Haskins was born and bred, I believe, in Hoylake, so very near, obviously, Royal Liverpool and Wallasey, etc. And if you look on the website, Rick, there is his golf shop that was in Hoylake. Now, this is very, very old school. This is like the very early 1900s, I believe. How cool is that? It looks like one of the shops you'd now see in St Andrews.
I love
golf
that.
Clubs in the window, etc. And essentially, he had this golf shop, and he was born in 1898. And at the age of 23, he moved to America, to Eastlake, where he became a very close friend of Bobby Jones. And a year later, Bobby Jones recommended that Mr. Haskins went over to the Country Club of Columbus, where he was there for many, 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 many years, and went on to coach juniors, inspiring golfers to win over 150 championships. And he retired in 1952 after 34 years of being the head pro, and then went on to be the superintendent of the golf club for another 19 years. And sadly, he passed away in 1981. But to kind of honour his impact on junior golfers and collegiate golfers, that's what this award was named from. But it's mad how there's this award that Tiger Woods has had his hands on, Phil Mickelson 3 times, again, Ludwig Aberg more recently, all these names, and the guy was born and bred in Hoylake.
How wild is that?
It's cool, isn't it? And you know what also...
It's a really cool story.
What also always inspires me is how these people back in the very early 1900s would go move to America.
How did they travel?
How did they travel? How did they know what they were going to? It's like you can go, let's have a look on Google now at the Airbnb we're going to stay for the first couple of months while we're there or whatever. Just went on a whim and went on to forge an incredible career in golf. And I am anyway, so naive for thinking that the world started when I was born, because obviously I don't know what happened before I was born, other than looking at history things. But you didn't experience it, obviously. And how golf has been here for so much longer than the last 20 or 30 years.
I love that.
Crazy,
that is such a great story. You know what I'd love to know more about, this story is so inspiring. I always think of it when I think of, I've just had his name in my head and I've forgotten it. Alistair Mackenzie, the famous golf course designer from the UK. How did he travel the world designing this many golf courses? If you are an Alistair Mackenzie historian and you want to come on the podcast, email us at podcast@rickshiels.co.uk. No, .com. podcast@rickshiels.com. I'd love to know a little bit more about Alistair Mackenzie and how he travelled around. Similar to Fred Haskins, like, from when did he actually move to?
1923.
So how old would he have been?
I think he was 22, 23 when he moved.
That's unbelievable.
Let me just double check. I want to make sure I'm getting. I feel like I need to get my.
No, I think he was a bit older. He was born in 1898.
Yeah.
And he moved in 1921.
I was 23. Yeah, he would have been 23. He would have been 2 in 1900.
Yeah.
So 23 years old. But I mean, to be a head pro of a golf club for 34 years, and the 19 years as the superintendent, he must have known his onions about golf. But it was more, like I said, impressive to see that it was his father, apparently in 1880, opened the golf shop Haskins in Hoylake. They made custom golf clubs and were known for their golf balls. Because back then, it would be these guys that actually make the golf balls, wasn't it? It wasn't like those brands as such.
There's no Titleist. Well, a Kushner was a brand, like a person, before Titleist ended up taking up, became the parent brand.
How interesting is that, to go on and coach all these people who've played golf? It just shows how much history there is around, our sport. But how incredible was that? And then his great-grandson of this real golfing family listens to our nonsense podcast every week. So that's incredible. Thank you very much. Very humbled.
He had to listen to the fact you took your daughter to the toilet.
Who lied about pooing in a pool.
There you go.
Can I give you another quick email? I won't read it all in depth. It's quite long. But it was from a bloke called David Billy, who I believe is from Switzerland. And he wrote us a really nice email saying that essentially his daughter has moved from Switzerland to university in Chester. So he came over with her. He's 50 years old. He's played golf. So he's 57 years old, but he's played golf for 50 years. So since he was 7, he came over with his daughter to help her move to university. And while he was here, he thought he'd best go and play at Wallasey after our recommendations. Went and played Wallasey and has absolutely raved about it. And David is also a golf course architect as well. But yeah, he said, I know it's one of your favourite places. I just want to say thank you for the recommendation. It's an amazing links course. I apparently loved the whole thing, everything about Wallasey, kind of ticked all his boxes. So from a golfer with 50 years experience and someone who is a golf course architect, that was great to hear that he enjoyed Wallasey.
Love that. We need to play more golf. The weather needs to get a bit better, doesn't it?
We do.
Well, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse and it's going to get colder and darker. But this could be your time to practice this winter now every day and you might fulfill your potential.
Well, Gabe, very nicely, went and got my clubs re-gripped for me the other day. I'm excited to feel them in my palms because I've gone for one thing we realised in the hit video recently when I did a What's in the Bag. My grips was a real mismatch of everything and I didn't think it affected me. The more I thought about it, the more I thought, what am I doing? Like, do you know what I mean?
I hate it.
If
you're honest with you.
I can get that.
I've got one golf club now, a full swing club, which is my mini driver, without the same grips, everything else. Makes me feel a bit sick.
Did you see even what I did? I went as extreme as re-gripping the Stax swing speed trainer
really?
as well.
Wow,
so now I've literally, apart from my putter, every single grip that I hold in my hands will be the same. And I've actually gone for, interestingly, they were called... I went for some golf prides and I got what they're called now.
Chunky monkeys.
Well, no.
Medium chunks.
No, one hand chunks.
A lower hand chunk.
So I went and got the Tour Velvet Plus 4.
Yeah.
So that means and I got it in mid-size, and that means the lower section of the grip is also, it's almost like parallel all the way through.
I think it's a good shout. I do think having that consistency is something that you should definitely have. I think the reason, obviously, why you haven't had that before is because you obviously get sent so many clubs to review, and some of them make the cut, and you go, you know what, I'm going to go and try this and use it on the golf course, and whatever grip's on it, just you go and use it with that. So that's where that's kind of come from. It looks more aesthetic anyway.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Can I ask you some advice quickly before we wrap this up?
Did you want this about the driving range?
No, this is why I went to... Yes, basically, as everybody knows on this podcast, I recently went to a more chunky forgiving iron. I swapped some Strixon ZX5 irons. My feedback so far has been promising. They feel amazing. They go a long way, and they are more forgiving. Downside was there was no spin on them at all. So we got them weakened in loft by 2 degrees. Went and used them a couple more rounds. Hit some great shots. You witnessed one the other day at JCB with a long iron. Some great shots.
Superb 5 iron.
However, you know, when something doesn't quite feel right, there's a bit of a feeling inside that goes, this isn't quite right for me. Something's giving me a bit of jib here. It was very much from I know I'm not the best golfer in the world, but the creativity. I felt like 3/4 pitching wedges came off hot. Softer golf shots I couldn't quite trust. Hitting a 7-iron to a green, I wouldn't be surprised if it carried 170 or 190. A lot of that. As you well know, we recently went to Titleist and you got fitted for all the new gear. Reviews coming very soon on the Hit channel. Titleist T100, 150 and 250 all coming very soon. Make sure you're subscribed. And I got fitted for Titleist T100, which is an iron I've used for many, many generations, which I was using before I went to Strixon's. Had a great fitting and learned a bit more about my swing and what I need to improve on. So now I have got a very nice predicament where I'm thinking, do I use these new T100 or do I remain with my Strixon's, okay? Went to the driving range at the weekend, hitting them, no data, hitting them. Not a lot to report back on. Strixon's are more forgiving, great. This morning before you got here, I went in the hit studio with Ben. He set it all up for me and I hit about 40 shots. My taking so far, Strixon's go further, arguably 10 yards per club further.
And they're weaker. And you've made them weaker.
Yeah. And they're more forgiving. And they feel great. Lots of hands there, lots of pluses. The Titleist looks smaller behind the ball. Don't give me quite as much confidence. Go about 10 yards less. However, the spin on the Titleist for every club is about 700 revs more. And I just know I'm getting the numbers that I should get. And if I hit a bad one, yes, I drop some distance. But if I hit a good one, it doesn't go further. So, for example, last bit before I know I'm boring you a little bit, but avoid the listeners. My 7-iron with the Strixon can go literally 190. With the Titleist, it's going 170 every time. Give or take a bad shot, obviously. And the spin is like 700 revs more. You know my game. What do I do?
Well, I've always had this issue with hot irons. It scares me to death. Like
the spin out aspect of it.
Just having an iron that, it might give you confidence, but as a better player, you strike one, and everyone knows when you strike one, you think, oh yeah, it's come out good. You can't afford to have it going 10 or 12 yards further, can you? It just can't happen. So that for me is always a real kind of, I would rather my good shots go the said distance, and if I misstrike it comes a little bit short.
It's on you.
I can live with that. Yeah. What I can't have is a really good shot. I can't be looking down a flag and absolutely flush when I'm going, oh my God, that's the perfect number. I've hit a perfect shot, and watch it sail over the green, because what do you do next? Like, how do you hit the next iron shot? Do you hit it softer? Try and hit it worse? Like, do you then say, right, well, actually now my 7-iron does go 190. It's not going to do that every time. You're not going to be able to stand there.
I know.
And also, I always think with that type of power iron, even though it's not ridiculous power, I also think if you hit it harder, you could probably get it to 200.
Well, and also, the worry I found from playing a little bit of golf is the longer irons is not as much of an issue, because you saw me hit an amazing 4-iron at JCB, which is a 1 in a million for me. Now, if those shots, that didn't do in that instance, but if those shots do go a bit further, it's not maybe the end of the world, because I'm never expecting to get a 4-iron that close to the green. I'm just happy I've hit it a decent strike. It's the 7, 8, 9 wedges where I am going for the green. I want to hit it obviously as close as I possibly can. I don't want to hit one that I think I've hit well and fly the green by a mile. But the bigger picture, and why I'm kind of sharing my somewhat dilemma on the podcast, really is Titleist, by the way, great irons. Strixon, great irons. You're not going to go wrong with either. But it just shows that if people do get fit off a mat and they take 2 irons, iron A and iron B, most people look to distance, and the one that goes the furthest, they will end up buying. And I understand that. But on the golf course, that isn't always what you're looking for. Things like spin and descent angle are actually more important.
I totally agree. Couldn't agree anymore. Next week, we have an incredible guest coming on who will have some unbelievable stories of his 40 years of being a caddy on pretty much every major tour, and is caddied for this list. You ready?
Hit me.
Seve Ballesteros.
He was good.
Done.
He was good.
That's it. List done. Tiger Woods.
He was also
for a spell. Lee Westwood. Thomas Bjorn, Matt Fitzpatrick. The list.
Can I throw a little Darren Clark in there?
Dazza Clark, of course. Darren Clark. Sergio
but surely
Garcia.
He wasn't caddying when Matt Fitzpatrick won the 2022 US Open, hit that amazing bunker shot on the last hole.
He might have been the guy that handed the very 9-iron to him. So Billy Foster, the man himself, is on the podcast next week. So be sure to tune in because it's going to be an awesome guest episode, which I already know is going to be full of unbelievable stories. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned. Lots more to come. And we'll see you very soon. Bye.